Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. Today we are in trouble, Andrew, because, well, if you recall, there was a group text sent to you and I about a episode that we recorded a couple episodes ago, basically asking if he can come on and offer a rebuttal for some of the things that we were complaining about.
Yeah, the guard your time guy.
So today, welcome Jonny from the church. Jonny, you're
favorite.
Yay.
You're here. Now let the record show.
I still have the highest listens, or the two episodes that I've been on, aren't they like your highest downloaded?
They are.
Played?
It's either you or it's because it's about guns. We haven't figured that out yet. But
have we done a guns episode without him?
we have not. Every time, and we'll probably this time as well, you'll end up talking about guns. No. You already have talked about guns.
We have already. You're right.
You already we're fantasizing about somebody breaking into this house so you can see who can unload the mag on them first.
That's not true. No one was fantasizing.
Yeah, nobody's fantasizing about it.
We were making a joke about the podcast being pre-recorded or letting it roll before we start. And all I said was, hey, let it roll. You know, you might get some good stuff. Like, what if somebody broke in right now and you get it all on recording? And Andrew chimed in and said, yeah, us shooting the person. So technically it was Andrew.
Yes.
Andrew is always the cause of weirdness.
Yeah, that's about right.
This is like the YouTubers that had a boxing match. And they made
KSI
millions of,
and Paul Logan.
And they made millions of dollars.
Logan Paul.
They made millions of dollars boxing each other. And so we're going to make a couple dollars.
Are we?
Not even that.
Good, because you just said my royalties increased because you didn't give me coffee.
Yeah, okay, let's start there, Andrew. Round one.
Ding, ding.
Worship?
Yeah. Do we have to go into the
auditorium
to worship?
About,
I wasn't complaining. I brought up a subject, a topic.
But okay, so round one, Andrew.
Dusty's word selection is horrible today.
Andrew, well, it's not the morning, okay? So
I believe the title of the episode was, or at least in the description.
We can't go by the titles though, because Dusty just does clickbait.
Well, it may have been the description, basically something along the lines of Andrew rants about not wanting to be a sermon illustration, or I think that was it.
Andrew's mad about being a sermon illustration.
I swear I'm a rusty sermon illustration every week, so I'm definitely not mad about that.
So should we start there? Or?
Yeah, sure. Round one, ding.
All right.
Because I don't mind being a sermon illustration.
My question would be, how do you know that you were the sermon illustration? Did he say your name?
No.
But it's pretty blatantly obvious.
It is pretty obvious. Sometimes he does look at me when
there's
he
a
says
lot
stuff.
of there's a lot of people that sits in the.
I get it. There a lot of people
lobby.
A lot of people fit the same mold. I get that. Sure. There are times he has looked at me when he has said stuff.
I will say, the whole looking at people thing, because we've actually people have brought this up in like meetings and stuff. Like, man, you said that and you looked right at me, and I can promise you, he does not like. He doesn't look at people.
If anything, he's trying not to look at them.
Yes, right. He does not look at people in the eye, and specifically if he's like referring to something that's dealing with dealing with them. That. Yeah, I can tell you from experience, like preaching, like you kind of just like don't really ever make eye contact with anybody because it's super awkward, and so you're just kind of looking around. So if it ever seems like whoever's preaching is like looking at you, they're probably not. But,
well, and then also he's told stories that pertain to only Dusty and I, or just because we've been with him for so long.
Yeah, since 8th grade.
I mean, Dusty's been with him since 8th grade.
No, a little over 20 years.
I've only been with him since I don't know what grade.
Well, so what you were talking about, the whole worship thing about you were saying. I guess give me a recap about.
So my question
sometimes
is,
you stand in the lobby until worship's over.
Well, I do every week.
Yeah.
And for numerous reasons. One, it's dark, and I don't have my bearings in there. And you know my history and my past, so I don't necessarily like dark, loud places.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be aware. So I don't like to go in there. Two, loud music just isn't really my style.
Sure.
And so it's not how I necessarily worship. Now, I say that with a caveat that I do blare music in my truck.
There you go.
It's rap, though. It's not New
Acoustic
Age
90s
Christian.
worship?
Exactly.
I could sing of your love forever.
We don't do that song.
Yeah, I haven't heard that song in forever, since the 90s.
So you're asking me, do I think that you have to? Or
Well, so our question on the podcast was, do you have to go into the auditorium to be worshiping?
And I'll caveat this. It really boils down to what is Sunday morning for, because it seems very rushed when it comes to the relationship side of things, of like I'm bouncing through conversations and then, oh crap, I forgot to get my kid at kids ministry.
Sure, yeah.
Stuff like that. And so we go to church for an hour and 15 minutes, and an hour of that is sitting down facing forward and not participating.
Sure.
And so that was the question, is like, what are we really there Sunday morning for? Because he's enjoying the relationships in the lobby.
Yeah.
And then forced to stop that, or feels forced to stop that and go inside.
Well, I mean, there's not a perfect answer. The way a lot of people talk about this is like, man, you should probably join a commune. Like, if you want to be in constant like community with people, like that's what communes are for, right? And there obviously have been some religious groups that have done that, like the, in Waco and stuff like that. But
David Branch.
Yeah, the
Branch
Davidians, and I would say on Sunday morning, churches differ in philosophies when it comes to what is Sunday morning for. Let's limit that specifically to like Protestant evangelical churches. So we're not going to talk about like Catholics, Episcopalians, or even like more of your liturgical Protestants, such as, Presbyterians. Let's limit it to like evangelical Protestant churches. They differ on what Sunday morning is for. Some, it's more of a inward focus. So like this time is for our body of believers to worship and to connect with each other and that sort of thing. And then the other group that I would say we fall into is it's more what the churchy language for is quote unquote seeker friendly, right? So it's more for those who are coming in, who don't have a church background, who don't really know anybody if they weren't invited by someone. They don't really know what you're supposed to do or what the rules are, and we're more for that group of people. That's what Sunday morning is for. Now, it doesn't mean that we completely ignore ourselves and the people who make up Church That Matters. I don't know if was I supposed to say the name of our church. I don't know. Is that off limits?
We try not to.
I don't think we've ever said it.
It's like that same thing, Andrew, of what we talk about, and then we're saying names, and then we're like, not saying names. You still know who we're talking about.
It doesn't matter. No one would care. So
nobody cares. I don't think anybody from Church of Matters actually listens.
No one would care.
Maybe Thomas.
So it doesn't mean we ignore, our body of believers by any means. I mean, we still do things that are specifically, meant for us. I mean, it doesn't mean that somebody who has a relationship with Jesus, who comes into one of our worship encounters, can't get anything from it or benefit from it. By no means, that's not the case. I believe that everybody can come and receive something and be encouraged and strengthened, et cetera, et cetera. But we always try to do things, every decision we make, every direction we go in, we always come at it from a perspective of how is a guest going to view this? How is the guest going to experience this? So, when our church first began, we highly considered not even having some sort of Sunday or weekend or whatever you want to call it, large gathering, whether you call it a service or whatever. We considered not doing that, but let's be real. I mean, there's a lot of things that sound good and sound ideal and that sounds fantastic, but in the world in which we live, it's just not practical. It's not pragmatic. It's not feasible. So we knew, being where we are, that we're going to have to do something on a Sunday or a weekend, specifically Sunday. We're going to have to do something.
For the people that are used to going to church, basically?
Yeah. There's a misconception that being in the Bible Belt that everybody knows about Jesus and everybody knows about church, et cetera, et cetera. It's not true. It is still very much ingrained into the culture of, people just kind of, even people who aren't churchgoers, who aren't Christians, still Sunday is still like the church day, right? So, or still at least recognize the fact that people are going to church. And so if you invite them to church, they expect that that's what it's going to look like, not going to somebody's house. So,
but that's how you trick them.
Yeah. So in our context, we meet and, throughout the week, we meet in different houses, and that's where we kind of hopefully want people to build relationships and be able to connect and do those things that maybe they miss out on a little bit on Sunday mornings.
It still didn't cover
your
the
question
topic.
Is worship, right?
Yeah, your answer didn't cover the topic that you requested to come on.
You, like a pastor, went off on a tangent.
Hey, no. You, Dusty, specifically asked me what we should start with. What are our Sunday mornings for?
Yeah. Okay.
No, absolutely not. You do not have to go into an auditorium to worship. Worship is not just music. What my philosophy on it would be, and I believe our pastor's philosophy as well, is that absolutely not. You do not have to be in the auditorium while the worship band is playing in order to worship the Lord. Worship is not just music. That's not what it's about. What it does do, though, is, the more people that are in there, the higher the energy level is. It does change the atmosphere, just like if you go to a football game and the stadium's empty, it's just kind of, But if you go and it's packed and it's loud, everybody's cheering, I mean, it changes the energy, like, big time. And that's the same thing for our services. You go in, and if the room is empty, it just kind of feels like, blah. But if you go in and it's full of people, and it looks like people are excited to be there, it changes the atmosphere. And again, with our focus being on guests who are coming in, you go into somewhere that's like alive, and the energy's high, and people look like they're excited to be there, it changes your perception. You could go into that same room where the same things are happening, but if it's empty, or if the energy isn't as high, or it doesn't at all have the same feel. They don't perceive it the same way. So I would say we encourage people to be in the auditorium more so for that, than their own, spiritual well-being. However, I still think it's good for you as a believer. But that doesn't mean that you're bad or not doing something right if you're not in there. And obviously, Andrew, you have reasons why. I would say, though, if it was somebody that was just being a turd and like, I'm not going in there, I don't like music, blah, blah. I'm like,
Dusty singing.
I would probably say, hey, quit being a turd and get in the auditorium. Like, because you're being a turd.
I have heard that, so-and-so singing today. And I'm like, well, worship is not about you.
Exactly, yeah.
And so,
listen, people are immature and people are childish, and that will never change. And, sometimes we all manifest that in different ways. And that you have specific reasons that are real and relevant, but other people are just being turds. So don't be a turd,
Don't be a turd.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
But you said, can I come on your show and rebut that? So you just agreed with me. So it's not really a rebuttal. So now I'm a little disappointed.
Well, I'm like, you made some comments about how Rusty doesn't even be in the auditorium during worship or something. You remember that one?
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that being a joke, Andrew. That because
I don't even remember when,
because he came up to you in the auditorium or in the lobby and was like, "Get in there," and you're like, "You're not in there." It was like that kind
Gotcha.
of joke or whatever. But yeah, I can hear Rusty because our music isn't that loud. I can hear Rusty as I'm singing.
Yeah, I know Rusty because he's on that front right side.
He's a hoot
I know
and
where he's at. But yeah, there are times that I see him out in the lobby walking around, or telling people to get into the and go into the auditorium.
But he's trying to be a hype guy,
right?
Yeah.
So, do we need to hire hype guys? Like basketball, they have hype guys.
Would
that make worship encounters better?
When our pastor had a praise band that traveled around, my friend Nick and I, who's been on the podcast, we were his hype guys. Yeah. We did the motions to the songs on the speakers.
Or you'd be planted in the audience, and you're like, all right, at this point, raise your hands.
Yeah.
At this point of the song, raise your hands.
Dusty, I'm going to need you to stand up when the music comes back on.
At this point, I'm going to need you to shout out, "Hallelujah, Lord."
Right.
Would that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we can post a job listing for hype guys.
Why don't you just put that in the tracks?
So, I mean, I think, that's the reason Rusty wants people in the auditorium. Now, obviously, there is. I mean, you get spiritual benefit from being in a room with other believers who are worshiping. Whether you're a music guy or not, like, there's still some benefit to that. Do I think you're, like, a terrible person or a terrible Christian because, that's not your thing? By no means, because worship is not music. That's one of the ways in which we worship. But I think most people, I would say most, they're just being turds.
Yeah, so I went to I preached at another church with for Vets That Matter, and their worship wasn't loud at all. Matter of fact, is more of the acoustic style. I mean, they did have electric and drums and all that.
Yeah.
But, it didn't bother me, but it wasn't very loud. And I was fully aware of my surroundings, even in the new area. But there are times even when Rusty's preaching where I start getting anxious. And so.
Yeah.
Do you think it would help if you sat in the back row? Like, because you're front row Joe.
No, because I like the people between me and the door.
Oh, you like the cover.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I don't think our pastor would tell you, like, you're wrong for not being in there. I don't know why, but I had, like, a note here from that episode, and it says Dusty should start a streaming ministry. I have no idea what that is about.
I was saying that we were just talking about how there's a huge need for kids online, like, they don't care about watching you play video games. They just want the interaction with somebody while they're playing. And like, I have a Discord channel. I haven't streamed in a couple months, and I have a Discord channel that kids are still in.
All Dusty has to do is, like,
talking.
type a period in there, and they go nuts.
They go nuts. And so that was the thing, was like, there's so much community in the gaming world that's discounted, because people just like, oh, you're playing video games. Well,
sure.
There's huge community in that. Toxic or non-toxic, and so
sure.
I listened to a interview by Ninja yesterday. Actually, just so random you brought this up.
Who's Ninja?
Ninja is the top Fortnite player in the world.
Jonny,
okay. I don't do video games, so I'm ignorant to.
I mean, I haven't played video games.
Singer.
I know, I know about Twitch and all that stuff. I don't know who Ninja is.
Anyways,
we're talking about Chuck.
But
Norris?
I knew you're go ahead.
Anyways, he was saying there are 4 million. Gamers in the world, and 8 million people have access to the internet. So that would be a huge ministry that you could tap into, because you can potentially reach 8 million people if you are
that are there looking.
Yeah,
like they're not. And so what I was saying was a children's minister.
Hold on, wait. I'm so confused. You're saying how many? What you said?
There
4
are 4 million gamers, but 8 million.
Oh, there's only 4 million gamers.
The streamer.
Streamers.
Well, I'm pretty sure he said gamers.
That can't be right.
It should be more than 4 million.
Oh God, it should be like 4 billion.
Maybe
there's 9
maybe
billion
it was
people
4
in the world.
billion then.
Because there's more than 8 million people have the internet.
There's probably 2 billion.
Math is off.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm like, Andrew, that does not make
billion
sense,
instead of million. So 4 billion people.
There's I think Facebook has like 7 billion profiles on it, I believe. It's like almost a majority of the world has Facebook. So there's
half of those profiles are grandparents that got hacked and they can't figure out how to do it. So they
still though, there's got to be a lot of people.
So there,
playing video
4
games.
billion. I forget who.
There's a lot of there's a crap ton of people playing video games. Yeah,
but even 8 billion that have access to the internet. They may not have the internet, but they have access to it.
Sure.
So that'd be a huge ministry, a huge outreach that is potential.
So my point on
why
that
don't
podcast
you guys start it?
Was every children's minister from 3 to 5 should just be playing online and to be able to connect with the kids outside. And so I knew the typical pastor response is, Dusty, take off work from 3 to 5 and start a gaming ministry.
He just said it.
I know.
You guys should do it.
Why would you? I know you said
that is the typical.
Like, that's exactly what
you came up with. It. You do
totally do it. Just supplement my income.
Exactly.
You should. Why wouldn't you? Hey, here's the dumb thing. You don't need to start a ministry. Just do ministry while you're playing video games.
Well, and that's what I do. But the problem is that what I was thinking was locally. kids locally coming home from school if they had somebody that they could go and play games with online.
Sure.
And so locally, at that time, I am at work.
I got you.
So,
he would need somebody to supplement.
You know who
that income.
is also at work but gets paid for ministry?
Jonny.
Jonny.
It's true.
You should start a gaming ministry.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be so funny.
Can we do something that I like to do? I mean,
you can't shoot guns with kids, Jonny.
Yeah, absolutely, you can. Yeah, you can.
That's PG-13 streams.
Yeah, have you not ever seen kid competitive shooters?
I have. They're legit.
Yeah, they put me to shame.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody nowadays wants to like start a ministry. It's like, why don't you just like, just do what you do, and then like just.
And I used to.
Do ministry in that context.
I used to game in the morning, but I guess I don't have time to do games right now. I just don't.
Yeah, well.
I wish I did, because it's a very much needed ministry.
I'm so glad that Jesus, when he was on his way to the cross, didn't say, man, I just don't have time to do this today.
All right, so let's go on to the next
right?
topic.
Dude, I was just about to say, I don't have time for our round 2, but since you brought that up.
Okay, we're recording it like Andrew and I are both taking time off of our day. I left work early, and then I have to drive all the way back to downtown Tulsa, all the way 20 minutes. And
I had to schedule all of my appointments for after this podcast, which I would have scheduled it during this podcast.
And
because
to fit with the scheduling of a pastor who's guarding his time before and after.
Quote unquote, I have to guard my time.
Quote unquote.
Yep.
Which I'm going to start using that anytime I'm asked to do anything. Sorry.
Is
it between 9 to 5?
Hey,
yes.
I mean, I can't help that I'm your highest rated guest. And you guys will
Listen,
do anything.
you asked.
You guys will do anything.
You asked to come on the show.
Said, can I have a
we didn't ask you. We didn't want you.
I honestly was surprised that I got a text, or did I get a text, or just one of you talked to me about it on Sunday?
No, it was a group text chat thing.
Yeah, but I was honestly surprised, because I was basically, the last we talked, it was just like, I guess it just won't happen. We can't make it work. And then like the next thing I know, like this week, like you texted me or Dusty texted me and was like, hey, we're going to do it on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. I told you Sunday.
Okay.
I was like, because I asked if you worked Thursday, which at the time this is your normal day off, but
right.
You also are.
I always work on Thursdays, even if it's my day off.
And I thought I could try to swing working from home so I didn't have to take an extra 40 minutes off.
Listen, Dusty,
work.
I'm not a millennial. I don't use that have to guard my time excuse. I work on my days off.
So that's why I brought it up. I was like, oh, maybe we can make this work on Thursday, which I was going to call and be like, can we push it back to 4? And then Andrew was like, let's be on time, guys. I got appointments after this.
I could have done it in 4.
I couldn't because I had I have so many appointments scheduled.
So what are we talking about?
Pastors they have a reputation for being lazy. They don't have to go in until 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Salaried position.
You'd get off at like 3, 4 o'clock. And so here we are trying to fit you into our podcast because you asked to be on it. And you're like, and Dusty and I, we always record in the mornings. First thing before he goes to work, before I go to work, we knock out this podcast.
Sure.
Yep.
8
we're
o'clock.
Like, yeah. And so we're like, yeah, we record at 8. Dusty will have the coffee ready. And you're like, I can't. I have to guard my time.
Yeah.
And we kept trying.
Your rebuttal was 10:30.
Well, yeah, you said 10:30, which again, 10:30.
No, I think I said like 9:30 because I was going to do 30.
No, your
earlier.
rebuttal was 10:30. My rebuttal was 8.
Was I joking? When
You
I said
then
10:30?
said 9:30. I said 8:30.
So you
and
guys
we kept going back and forth.
So if you didn't want to do it at this time, you should have guarded your time too and said, I guess we just won't do it. And that's what I thought we ended on.
Well, so that is what we ended on, and then Dusty's
and
like,
then
so let this be a lesson to you kids out there on negotiation tactics. You always let the other party come to you.
yes, you always let the other person talk first.
And that's what happened.
But Dusty is not a good negotiator at all.
I am not. It's whatever.
Which is why we are all here right now.
I asked for your help for 10 minutes to go run and grab a package off Andrew's because I didn't want to drive back home from work.
Okay, yeah.
And then you were like, all right, now you owe me a podcast or whatever your response was.
Oh, did I really?
So,
I don't remember that.
Yeah. You were just like,
So let me answer that very easily. I guess I'd never heard the stereotype that pastors are lazy. Most of the pastors...
It's a pretty big stereotype.
Most of the pastors I know work probably like... I mean, it's all different, but I probably work. Do the math.
You need a calculator.
45 to 50 hours a week, probably. I do specifically have a salary position. It's not very much.
I think most pastors do, because there's always that other duties as assigned thing.
Yeah. I mean, as a pastor, your job, you don't really have a day off necessarily. I mean, there's people die, people get sick, people have tragedies, and the first person they call is their pastor or a pastor.
Wasn't the first person I called. Actually, he was the last person I called.
Middle of the night, et cetera, and this, I don't get that stuff as much as obviously my boss, our pastor does, but he gets it all the time. So when I say guard my time, specifically what I'm talking about is I have a set schedule and routine, and I basically just decided these are the things that I'm not going to move on. Specifically family time, because I do work so much and I don't get a lot of time with my family. My family time is very guarded. I'm sorry, but there's not really a whole lot of stuff that I'm going to let come before that. And that is in early mornings and in the evenings. So very rarely.
Other than 9 to 5 or 10 to 5.
Unless it's a very special or it's just the only way it's going to work out
this
type
is
of deal.
Special.
So don't feel bad. And you shouldn't feel bad, but it wasn't important enough to me to be on the show to go out of my way to use some of that time up for.
Yeah, it wasn't important enough for me to flex my schedule. But
then why are you here?
Because today is technically my day off, so I agreed before my day got filled up.
Gotcha.
Everybody struggles with that, I guess is the point. I work. William will laugh, but I'm trying to pull 50s as much as possible. I'm in the late 40s, and so because I get a bonus if I hit 50. That's my
50 hours. You get a bonus.
Yeah,
I know you guys are what the frick? I'm at 45, 50 hours by Wednesday.
You make way more money than me, so shut up.
What the frick?
Here's the deal too. We should not be bragging about working 50 hours a week, by the way, just so everybody knows.
Well, I'm not. What I'm saying, but if I was ever asked to do something, I was asked to play guitar for the flood thing or whatever one time, that was after hours, and I had to wait on pastors because they take forever, and then
because they're lazy.
No, because they were praying extra long, probably is what it was. But anyway, that was not my point. My point was for anybody, anything outside of 9 to 5 is going to be a family time, I guess. We all would have that same issue. Was what my point was. Except for you can do it now and still get paid while we don't.
Exactly. So why would I not do it? And all you had to say was no. And I've been totally cool.
But this isn't ministerial. So how are you being paid by being here? Because this isn't ministerial related.
Well, he's only salaried.
Technically, 40, so today this is my lunch hour technically today. Part of because I don't get paid very much money and don't receive a lot of other things that normal people do at normal jobs. One of the, I guess you could say, perks of the package is a flexible schedule. And so I do have flexibility in my schedule because of that.
Really, I'm just jealous, Johnny, that I could just be podcasting all day and getting paid. We could have a sponsored podcast like Church That Matters. Just bring me on staff, guys. Let's use that tithe money for this podcast. So on your old podcast, Johnny, you used to play a fun game, and I can't remember what it was called, but I feel like it was the lame name
Johnny Complains. Johnny Complains. Yeah.
Was that what it?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So it's been a while since you've been able to vent some complaints. So do you have anything on your Johnny Complains list?
Probably. That's the funny thing too. So we've made jokes, or I've made jokes with our pastor, about how there's things that you wish you could say sometimes, on social media, that you shouldn't say, and you can't say. I mean, I guess
it's like the pastor calling somebody out on Sunday morning.
Yeah,
in a sermon.
Yeah. There's things you wish you could say, and then so we thought it would be hilarious to like write a book or something about things I wish I would have. Our pastor came up with the idea of writing a book called "Things I Wish I Would Have Said" or something like that, and it was all these like essentially either tweets or Facebook statuses or like comments on people's responses to people's tweets and Facebook statuses. Because people, oh man. So there's a lot of complaining I could do there, but that's the problem is a lot of it I can't really say.
You don't want to say it out loud?
Okay,
I'll say one. I'll start one off for you. What do you think?
All right.
So what really annoys me personally is people on Facebook who post scores of the game. So like OU OSU, it's halftime 24-17.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, there's an ESPN app. If I wanted to know the score, I have the app to know the score.
That's
I don't
funny.
need everybody being a sportscaster.
Like those people, you need to go work for the news.
Well,
it's
not just the final score. It's constant
goofy.
Updates.
People do goofy stuff like that all the time, though.
It just annoys the heck because it just floods my feed. And like, come on, guys, I have the app.
I guess I'll just go along those same lines because I can't think of anything else. Gosh, man, people, you really need to evaluate. Most people would benefit from doing some evaluation on the stuff they post on social media. The bad thing is there's a lot of people in our church who would benefit from doing some evaluation on the things they post on social media. Don't air your dirty laundry for one on Facebook.
It never ends well.
No.
Or if you're going to air it, give us all the details because I don't like
the vagueness.
The vagueness of it.
A lot of the times it's passive aggressiveness. Have you ever read a Facebook status and you're like, I think they're talking about me?
Yes.
And they probably aren't, but they word it in such a way because they're being passive aggressive to where it makes you think that they're talking about like that's the worst thing. And for me, because I'm a person who like I don't like unresolved conflict, mainly because I'm a control freak, and so I want if I know that I have conflict with somebody, I want to deal with it pretty quickly because I can't.
That is not me.
The unresolved conflict gives me anxiety, and I can't stop thinking about it, and so I just want to get it over with, right?
Yeah.
So you could imagine stuff like that as a nightmare for me. I'm like, wait, are they talking about me? Did I do something? Like, And what I love are the people that like they constantly repost. Whether it be like a meme or like one of those graphic, it's like a mountain and then there's a quote on it that says, something about like, I don't need any more negative people in my life or something like that. Right.
As they're being negative.
And then I'm like, you're like the most negative person I know. What are you talking about? They're like the people that are always, I was joking with some staff members the other day is like the people that post that kind of stuff are always the people that are constantly like complaining and airing their dirty laundry on Facebook. It's the same people that post the same thing, but it's like, I'm done with drama in my life. If you're a dramatic person, like, something along those lines. I'm like, you're literally the most dramatic person that I know. It's the same thing with like the complaining or negativity. The people that post stuff like that, I'm like, odds are you're the negative person and you're the one that's complaining all the time. So that would be my complaint, I guess. I don't really have any good ones. I know I had some ringers back in the day.
Pull up some old clips.
Yeah.
So, all right, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Basically, if you and Shay would give your whole tithe.
Gosh.
I would love to have, because we don't, when we've like film announcements and film testimony videos or interviews and stuff like that, we basically it's a mobile setup. So we just set up wherever. And so if we're filming at, our facility, sometimes we'll film in the lobby. Sometimes we'll film in the auditorium. Sometimes we'll go into one of the kids' rooms and film, it just depends.
But it's hard.
But it'd be nice to have
so much time setting up.
Yeah. It'd be nice because there's so many times where it's like, oh, let's just film a quick video. And it's like, well, there's nothing quick about it.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have a room where we were able to, it would be a dedicated studio, both for filming and for like doing podcasts and stuff. Because I think it'd be cool to do a podcast for the church that's not like a sermon, because we do that. We put our sermons out, but to actually have like a podcast that a church is doing that's not like that's more of that. It's a discussion based because there's like Craig Rochelle and a lot of those guys do like leadership podcasts. And I'm like, forget that. Like, let's do like just a cool discussion podcast.
Then I'll envy you more because then you're just getting paid
right?
for podcast.
Yeah.
Stop making me envy you.
I'll have to force
back
myself
to doing whatever you want to do from 9 to 5.
I'll have to force myself to get interested in video games, and then I'll just start playing video games during the day and sending you pictures. I'm not even enjoying it.
Yeah, you hate it.
But I'm doing it just so I can send you pictures and pretend like I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, you would do that actually. So,
all right, thanks for having me.
No problem. We'll see you. See you guys later.